Hello, this is Cindy from Part-Time Permies,
And Michael.
and we have a number of people in the room already. Welcome, everybody. I think I've been saying hi as people have joined in, except Kiri just joined us. Hello, Kiri. Um, we have a few things to go through today. Um, we did, well, actually, I wanted to see, is anybody in here in the Carolinas tonight? I'm guessing maybe not because or you have power if you are. So anybody in the Carolina area, I hope you guys stay safe. I know it's raining buckets, including your mom. And your
Yep.
mom's in the room.
Well, my parents, both of them. They have a generator, but they need to have internet. So
Yes,
I guess they got power.
they have. Yeah, they have at least internet. So that's awesome. So we will be going through our usual.
We lost power for 4 hours
We
today.
did. We lost power.
4 or 5 hours.
It was like 5 hours. I want to say five and a half hours. We were without power, and we had plans to do things with power.
I plan to make 200, 250 pounds of pasta today and divert it to other plans.
Our whole village lost power.
Yeah, 1,500 people. So it was some big transformer went down, something.
We had no reason to lose power today.
85 and sunny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was definitely warm. So Mike's mom is right there in the room, Valerie.
yeah, I haven't talked. I talked to my dad. I texted him Friday or Friday morning. But I haven't heard from him since then.
Yeah. So yeah, Kara's in the room. Anyway, so we have a few new people in the room today, I want to say. I know Eric, I didn't recognize whether you've been here before. Mr. Beast, I also didn't recognize. And I'm not sure if Mandy's been here once before. I kind of recognize your name, but I can't remember if it was here or somewhere else. So what I'd like to start with again, since we talk a lot about foraging and things, it's nice to know where people are at or what general region or state they're in. We are in Southwest Michigan, so our seasons are shorter and a little bit later than in the South, but a lot of the things we talk about you can find wherever. So if anybody wants to kind of list off generally where they're at, doesn't have to be specifics, of course, we're on the internet live. And I know there's about a 30-second delay here, so I am.
Oh, that's right, Tina.
Yep.
Tina's very close to my parents, so both of them just light rain. So I assume they'll get more rain coming in the next day or two
as things push inland. Okay, so yeah, Mandy. Okay, I thought you were. I recognized your name. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, Mandy looked familiar.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was here or another live chat. That's the problem when you watch some live chats, and I missed my live chats this week. It's been a busy week. Green Gables Home said hello. Yes, in North Alabama, another place down south. Awesome. See what else pops up here eventually. But while you guys are kind of going through that a little bit, kind of go through a little bit of our videos that we did this week. So the first video that came out this week, and I still have two more that I filmed last weekend, but still in the process of editing. But the first one that was released was on Lucky and Houdini. Houdini went broody on me in the coop, which caused problems, and you'll have to watch this video because Lucky went nuts when I went to try to break the broody girl. So we have Mandy from Iowa. Okay.
She talked about the Airstreams they bought in Michigan. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
That was just about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yep. And Valerie's in Southeast Michigan.
85 is kind of hot for September. It happens definitely, but it's on the warmer end for us. Yeah. It's definitely
September likes to go back and forth. Yeah. We get more days in the 70s, but it definitely got hot this week. So
I ended up painting today. Something I wanted to do next week. I didn't really have time to do it today, but with no power, I had to do some oil-based painting in a shady area.
Yeah.
And so it was finally dry and hot. I'm like, you know what? I better just go paint because probably next week it won't cooperate, and then before you know it, it'll be end of the season and can't do outdoor oil-based paint.
Yeah. So those of you guys, Mandy saying they're so sweet. Yeah, those of you guys who don't know Lucky's story, Hi, Finite World. Lucky and Houdini. Lucky is a guard goose that was raised by Silky and was a feature in Justin Rhodes' farm tour when he came to Michigan. But Lucky has fallen in love with a hen, Houdini, and that has been kind of an adventure as well. So we do have a whole playlist, and as well as the video from this week is
Of course,
added.
Lucky likes to stomp through the nest boxes when
When
she's
Houdini's in
back
there,
there, and he crushes half the eggs
that was a
most days.
yeah, that was a problem when she went broody. She was sitting on the nest box all day, and he likes to hang out with her. He follows her everywhere, including when she crashes or when she jumps the fence. He crashes the fence. But but yeah, that was a problem when Houdini went broody in there, and Lucky was hanging out. He was just walking around inside the coop, including crushing eggs, and then someone started eating them, and that was a problem. So we had to fix that. So this video is how we broke Houdini's broodiness, but the problems that caused as well. Um, so the other video we had this week was our first apple harvest. In fact, I think I have a different name listed on the webpage. It's First Taste of Our Own Apples. Um, so we actually have 3 trees producing. We're able to eat apples for the first time ever on our property, which has been 4 years, 4 seasons, 3 or 4 seasons anyway. Um, and these, we just haven't been able to get these until we started bagging the fruit this year. So we did get some edible fruit, and we still can harvest more soon. But this was basically a taste test, and I'm not super excited about the
No, they
varieties.
one of them's okay. Is more
Yeah,
useful than the other, but
that was the one that we
not
would
real
have.
exciting
Yeah,
apples.
yeah. So we have the one tree we think is giving us grannies,
Yep.
which
So
I like
it's a
better.
tart green, which they're usable for sure, and we like
Yeah,
them both eating, but they're also very useful for cooking and all kinds of stuff.
yeah. And then the other 2 trees taste a lot like Red Delicious, although we've had some comments. They really don't look like Red Delicious, and you can see.
Yeah, they're more rounded, but
Yeah,
they're not quite as mealy. But Red Delicious, I think, get worse as they store, even though they're supposed to be a good storage apple.
yeah,
Um, yeah, they don't have the points at the bottom and the heart shape. They're a little more
like
traditional rounded, but they are mealy. They are a little
thicker skinned a little
tannic and
bit.
thick skin, and the flavor to me tastes like a Red Delicious.
Yes,
So it's something close to that,
yeah.
and that is not. I don't think it makes a great cooking apple. It's not our preferred eating apple, so not excited about that.
Yeah, so unless something happens and the flavor starts getting better in
Yeah,
the season, certain
Bree's
seasons.
right that a lot of varieties definitely taste better as we get the cool nights of the
Yeah,
first frosts.
yeah.
Especially the cider apples, but just a lot of them are better. So we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We probably have at least a month before we're looking at frost, and hopefully longer. So
So yeah, maybe we should do a second taste test after we get some cooler nights. Being that we're in the 80s still this week, that's not going to happen for at least a few
we
weeks.
did dry out for the last
Yeah,
2 weeks, which is good because we have a friend who does organic specialty beans. So they are drying and harvesting rapidly. We've got another 2 or 3 days of sunny weather.
yeah,
We had the pawpaw wine harvest last week, which is, I always think their harvest event almost is barely making the beginning of pulling grapes,
yeah.
but it's been so crazy wet for almost like 3 weeks. It rained over and over.
Mm.
People are starting to really harvest now and pull things out.
Yeah. So Green Gables, they are not trees that we planted. We've been on this property, I guess this winter will be 4 years.
But we're in
Um,
our fourth growing season.
yeah. So we have not, we didn't plant them. They came with the property. We had no idea what trees we had. We have a fourth tree still alive, but not doing well. So we bagged 0 fruit on that tree. Um, we had 2 trees. I think one the previous owners took down, one I took down my first year because it was just so diseased. So well, maybe we'll get some more
So
else.
there's six. We're down to really 3 viable.
Yeah,
And yeah, we're just trying to.
see what we have.
We're pretty sure that it's probably a commercial or general normal stock plants. They're planted too close together. They're planted kind of in the shade, and then we don't think they're varieties we would have selected offhand. Maybe the the green ones,
Yeah.
the grannies or whatever they are. Those we might have planted something like that, but
Yeah.
we would rather have saucing and cooking and pie apples and maybe vinegar or cider type things.
Yeah.
So and they're
And
fairly disease prone, but we're also in a fruit area, so they're gonna pick up stuff. So we may do some adjustments on that or replace some of them in a different area with different things.
yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll necessarily take these out unless they really become diseased and dying. But I mean, PJ also he comments on a lot of our stuff related to permaculture, and he actually, if you look at the comment section, he had some really good descriptions
I don't. Yeah.
and suggestions, and he was suggesting just using them as stocks to graft
Well, that's what a lot of
others on.
people do is
Yeah,
they graft
because it's already
one variety
established.
or a number of varieties and continue grafting off of them.
So you can make them into multi-variety trees basically by just keep
Yeah,
grafting different branches, different
you get a
types.
good graft, and then you start taking out more and more of the old graft. These were, of course, grafted. Almost everything's grafted. We can see where some of the bigger stump and where some of the grafts are splitting apart, but that was done, back the nursery. I'm sure when they were bought. I don't think anybody's
Yeah.
traditionally or handcrafted anything since they put them in.
So yeah, and those trees, we might figure out some uses for them. Just not exciting on the apples. So yeah, they're
Yeah, the
okay though.
mediocre ones they make really good vinegar. Sometimes they're going to cider blend.
Yeah,
Obviously, you can do sauce with them if you put you can always spice it and add enough sugar and whatever else. So they're useful,
yeah,
but they're not premium. They're not exactly what we would have chosen. So I think the red ones are a little soft for baking and
yeah.
pies. I don't think they'd be great for that.
The green ones, the grannies,
But yeah,
they may have
they're
more
still there's
uses.
always some usability on them.
Yeah.
Which channel is that? PJ?
PJ doesn't. Well, no, actually, he does have a channel. It's just his name, PJ Schmiel,
Yeah, he really
Schmiel. I
doesn't
want to say,
post videos
but
hardly at all.
he does. He's not a regular poster. He's a neighbor of ours and a friend of ours, who has a permaculture site, just down the road in the next town over, basically.
Less than 10 miles away.
Oh yeah,
He's one of the more, he's done a lot of permaculture. He's one of 3 or 4 or 5 highly knowledgeable people doing
yeah.
permaculture. He knows a lot more than we do about a lot of the topics. He does a lot with we mentioned the Van Cal Permaculture
Which is our
website,
local.
which is, yeah, it's a local permaculture. It's just a group of people with similar interests. It's not supported by any
Yeah,
thing, although they're pretty clear. People, anybody wants to follow it or read stuff, that's great, but they're pretty clear
they're
about it
local.
this
Yeah,
year. They want to be within 20 miles or 10 miles, and they're actually kind of shedding out other discussions because that's not what they've decided it's for. But it's a good follow along, and they talk about some nice topics. So
yeah. You can always check out
yeah,
his YouTube page.
they don't mind if you snoop. They just don't want to be talking about things
Different
outside of our
regional
area
things. Yeah,
because there's other. They think that if you have a smaller group, you have more interactivity and more relevance, which is so they're serving that purpose, which is neat. And I think probably most people have similar types of things going on around the
yeah,
area. But this is permaculture directed,
yeah.
so we're kind of lucky in that way. I bet not everybody has a neighborhood permaculture group. That a lot of trading of
Of
do
plants.
you have this plant? Do you have mulch? How do you solve this? Have you seen this mushroom? So it's very relevant to our immediate weather and soil and
Yeah.
resources and informal trades between people. So that's
Another
PJ.
a good resource though, Green Gables Homestead, a good resource in general, is also Lily House,
Mm-hmm.
Lillie House, Kalamazoo. They have a web page, they have a Facebook page. They are a permaculture design place, consultants, and they do classes. And I'm taking their permaculture class now, which is a monthly class through 6 months of the year, including a site visit, which he came out to see us. He does, Mike Hogue does videos as
He does a
well.
moderate number of videos and then a
Yeah,
lot of workshops. He has
yeah.
two
And he
or
links them
three
to his
progressive
webpage.
workshops that are multi-week workshops going on at a time usually,
He does a,
plus one-time deals.
yeah. and he does herbalism workshops. He does consultations for people developing permaculture on site. And he's got a lot of information that he keeps posting, articles and all this. And he's actually one of the main posters to our local van
Yeah,
tail.
he does post on that.
But he posts a lot on his website, on his Facebook page as well. So if you look up Lily House, Lillie House,
So he,
it's,
I think,
yeah,
sustains most of his income through those efforts. So they have free stuff, they have paid stuff, they have seminars, he has classes, but he basically creates a living through growing permaculture and living it, and then teaching it. And they do a lot also on the setup or design and the whys and the
yeah.
hows, all the way down to the philosophical reasons of why you may be taking on. So he does all kinds of stuff that other people don't. And yeah, so he's a really good resource. Neat stuff to dig around in there if you're beginning a new property or just looking for permaculture stuff.
So I'm going to link the Facebook page here. He has a web page as well. He does have a YouTube channel. I got to remember
He
if it's
does. He
under
just
his
put up a
name.
couple new videos this week.
Yeah.
I think it is under his name.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can pull that up and I'll link that as well. I'm not sure if I'm pulling it here.
Well, there's a skateboarder with the same name. That's not him.
No, it's not.
Maybe you can link it with his
Yeah,
Lily House or something.
yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to get this pulled up. But
yeah, so they've got a 1 acre in the city, semi-urban, although they have forest and a big hill in the back. So they are a perfect idea of what you can do on 1 acre or a half acre and adapting a city. He uses a city front yard for his primary growing, which is less than a quarter acre, and he grows almost all of his food in that.
And in the back a little
And then
bit.
he does some in the back. So he is actually a really good source for tight spaces and what can be done urban. It looks good. Most people wouldn't realize he's harvesting most of his food out of that garden. It's attractive but full of fun things.
I think I found it, so I'm gonna pull it up for you. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so I will link that in the chat notes as well.
And if you're within probably a 50-mile area of us or so, maybe further, he's available for consults. Obviously, you negotiate whatever pay or trade he thinks is reasonable, but he'll actually come out and do specific work or advising on your property, which is kind of neat.
Oh, cool. So Carrie has someone local to her that's starting to stream on Facebook on Wednesday nights.
Oh, good. I thought Carrie didn't have any neighbors for 125 miles.
Hey, no teasing.
Other than goats or whatever.
It's good that she has lots of rocks.
Yes, it's good that you have neighbors and rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So those are a couple links to Lily House. He's full. Mike Hogue is full of information.
For Green Gables, that's perfect because he really likes people sitting on things slowly for a year and watching what grows, because he really grows with nature and adds to nature. He trims back a little bit, but watching what's there, watching where the water goes and where the water doesn't go, where the snow and wind. So he's a big advocate of planning and thinking for most of a year and doing small things and then making a good plan and starting to slowly integrate it so you don't make mistakes. We all make things that need to be changed around, but that we don't go crazy building up this big plan and realize it really wasn't fit well for the property, or we spent a lot more time and effort than what was already there. So he's really good for those type of discussions.
Yeah, and efficiency and planning where to put things based on, how often you visit, your zoning and all that. So it's all the permaculture
Most of it's
concepts.
Bill Mullison derived, and others, but that's the root work.
Yeah. So, okay. I was just making sure I wasn't missing anything else, and I dropped my notes while I was trying to look things up. So yeah, and that actually does bring me. I might as well go straight to class because I had class this week with Mike Hogue, and this week's class, we'll do a little summary on it, but it was basically talking about paths and designing paths and making sure you get your big path for access, whether you need to bring in a vehicle, whether you need to bring in, maybe even 4 to 6 feet wide, so you could bring in a wheelbarrow or a cart of some sort into your garden or into your food forest. And then branching off of that, and designing kind of like, your leaf patterns and your veins on a leaf. So your paths get smaller as it comes off the main path. And then you might have little nodes at the end where you have little workspaces, that you can reach into your beds.
Which is funny because we haven't fully done this yet, but our first concept when we drew things out was to create a fire pit ring with
Mhm.
a drivable round that we could get both a tractor, a car, and a trailer in for dumping heavy material, and would be a wide enough space to be able to entertain
Yep.
or have living space, and then branch off from that. So it's sort of a very large keyhole pattern was our initial.
Yeah.
We haven't really executed that, but that space hasn't been heavily modified yet either. So
No, I mean we've started a
we
slightly. I
did move
mean
the fire
we
pit
moved the
closer,
fire pit where we want it to be,
or at least in general area.
general area.
It wasn't where we wanted it before.
No, and we are driving the chickens around the yard, including we've set up gates into our garden that we can pull the chicken tractor into the garden, so that late fall, early spring, they can fertilize the garden. And that was
We
one of the
even have a
designs.
pull through now, two gates that we can
Yeah,
open, so we don't have to
turn
try and
around.
turn it around. Sometimes the garden soil is so soft, or with the seasonal weather, or just the sand, the tractor tires really spin. And especially when we put all the leaves down, we
Yeah,
found out we couldn't pull the
the
chicken
trailer
coop out
out.
easily.
Yeah, especially after they basically tilled all that stuff together, and it was so soft and fluffy,
Yeah,
which is awesome. But we couldn't get them out.
because it just
Or
didn't have traction. We have a flat tire in one of the trailers. It's
yeah,
unrimmed, so I need to do some work to get it. I'm hoping to find at a garage sale or auction or
cheap
something
to
a cheap one that I can that's rimmed and then I can just take off.
replace it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. How did we end up bringing the car back to get or the truck back to pull that out? I
One
can't remember.
time we did.
I thought we did. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had to go get. We have 4-wheel drive on two vehicles,
Yeah.
and we had to go get something that was heavier
Pull it
than
out, which
the
is
lawn
not what you want to
tractor.
do in your garden.
We had no choice. It wouldn't move.
Although our garden beds still are
Yeah, it's
fluffy and
funny.
nice, so temporary. You don't really want the heavy vehicles in there, um, but it is otherwise worked well in our system as far as being able to pull that through and everything. Um, So, that was a big discussion. We always go out when it's nice. Now, this is one of 2 weeks that we've not had rain all summer. Um, and so we went out and we were trying different tools for pruning things. One is very similar to what I have, which I actually got from the beginning of the classes, an idea from this. It's a Japanese sickle or a rice sickle or a kama or whatever you want to call it. It is in my list of garden tools on my kit, which I have a link below if you're interested in looking at it. But it's a great way to chop and drop um, weeds and things in the garden. Um, Very easy to use. Mike Hogue also uses it to trim small branches and do a little
Yeah,
pruning and things
PJ
like that.
use PJ. I think maybe part Japanese. He spent a lot
Yeah,
of time traveling to Japan and also kind of studying native activities, but and sort of manual labor activities. So he's always getting garden
Japanese
sickles and
tools.
Japanese garden
Yeah,
sickles, which he claims they make a lot better there than the ones they send
yeah,
here. And they some are just more ornamental and nice. So
yeah,
he uses it regularly also.
yeah. The one I got was it's only around $20 on Amazon. I think it is actually
Fortunately, it's
made in.
right-handed, so I
It
have to
is
use it
right-handed.
left-handed backwards.
I think you
Um,
might be able to turn it over and use it though, like just flip it around and use it. But it does have an
it
angle
depends on
edge
how
on
you're
it.
hacking. Yeah,
Yeah,
it does. You can't turn. Yeah,
yeah.
I have to just turn it backwards and do a different. Yeah,
Different
it's
way of
not
pulling on
perfect.
it. So yeah, we do need to look for a left-handed one
Or
to
you can
make
just
them.
do it. I have a weed whacker. I find that kind of works like a. Well, it doesn't work when you're doing when you're
Fine work.
in the vegetables, but when you're
Yes.
clearing the area, it's a little faster.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this little thing works well moving around vegetables like tomato plants and stuff. So
So, Idiot's Guide
yeah.
to Foraging. That sounds interesting. That's her neighbor.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool.
Hmm.
Um, that is cool. Uh,
Maybe you have to see if he does any rock foraging or, see if he does any organized forages if you're in the general
yeah, if he does
area. And
lead for guided
because that's how
forages.
we've learned most of
Hmm.
I did a little foraging in New York, um, mostly in culinary school. I didn't have a lot of time after that, but we did some tours and things. So everybody just passes it down, and it really works best when it's in your geographic
area.
area because it makes
Yeah.
a lot more sense.
Yeah, so which does take us to our featured forage food of the week. Why not go there next? We I posted, and again, there's a link below to our web page, which I put basically a vlog up once a week on what we're featuring this week. And this week we're doing spotted bee balm. I've done another bee balm before, the wild bergamot. We have two wild bee balms on our property. This is the spotted bee balm, which has a crazy looking flower, but it's actually multiple flowers in this tier. So I'll show you. Let me get that picture here. Um, if you zoom in between the tiers, the yellow parts with the red spots on it are the actual flowers. So not the entire thing. There are multiple flowers in there. It is a fun flower. It can be used just like a lot of other bee balms. You can harvest the leaves, you can harvest the flower, you could dry them or use them fresh, or use them. Basically, most people I think use them in teas, but you can make a wash for wounds. It has thymol in it, which is antiseptic. So a lot of people use it for that. Some people use it like other mints. It's in the mint family, so using it for settling an upset stomach in a tea, or a variety of things in there. So actually, I'm going to take a look at my page. I'm going from memory here.
He's snoring.
Our dog is snoring.
I haven't heard her snore much.
She's usually very quiet. I think she just took a deep breath. She's sound asleep on the couch in
She's
her favorite place.
She's acting like our old Jello.
Yeah.
Big nose is jammed up against the pillow. No, it's jammed up against the teddy bear. And she's looking at me. It's up against the bear.
Puddin is coming along here, but slowly. For those of you guys, we're going to be continuing with training videos, but we want to get her to the next step first before we do the next one. So anyway, going back to the tea for the spotted bee balm. Basically, it is a perennial, so it can grow anywhere, half a foot to about 3 feet in height. Its leaves are arranged opposite. They do have fine hairs on those leaves. It can spread by runners or by seed. So oftentimes you'll see it in groups because it's all the same plant spreading by runners. So if you're using it, you can use it in salads. You can use it, sometimes tastes a little bit like oregano. Again, it's the same family, so you can use it as an herb. Um, you can use it in fruit preserves or salads, fruit salads, a whole variety of things. I'm actually looking at my notes. In cheese, some people use it there, but I think most people use it as a tea. Some people will put it in steaming water to clear the sinuses. Of course, putting a head over steaming water will help clear the sinuses without anything, but that might help a little bit more. You use topically for burns or fungal infections or wounds, and also to stimulate menstruation for women. Now, on that end of things, that means a woman doesn't want to take it while she's pregnant, or at least not at any decent amount. Other uses, it can be used in incense and in candles. Some people like the smell of it. Can be used as an insect repellent, or to plant the plants to attract pollinators. So basically, number of uses. I have it in our back area. I haven't found as much this year as I have in past years. So I am keeping my eyes open for it because I will put it in tea. It's one of the things our foraging guide, Nabi, puts in her wild tea, but of course she does have about, I think, 50 different herbs in her wild tea. So, and we just got more of it. I love her wild tea. It's so tasty. So, I was just trying to see if anyone mentioned anything, but you can use it basically similar to the other wild bee balm. There's actually 3 wild bee balms in this area. The wild bergamot, which is Monarda fistulosa, this one, which is Monarda punctata, and then there's Monarda didyma. And that third one, I actually just brought home a rooted plant from my permaculture class. I don't have it naturally on property, but I put it in the garden yesterday. So hopefully that takes off. I only have the one plant. So, but it does, as long as it survives, it will take off pretty easily. So I do have that now as well. And all three can be used similarly. Um, I guess if you guys have any questions on that, let me know. But the other thing I wanted to check, and I'm going to check real quick on my Facebook account, because the other thing we do every once in a while, if you uh, see us on Facebook, go to Part-Time Permies on Facebook. I'll post a question and ask you guys before the show if you have any questions for the chef, because for those of you guys who haven't been in here before, Mike's a chef. So if you guys have any cooking related questions, you can feel free to ask those as well.
I was the plungere before I came up here.
Plungere. You were cleaning things up.
Yes, the technical term, the French term for dishwasher.
You are a one-man show right now, though.
Getting ready to do a whole lot of work tomorrow because I couldn't do it with the power off today. So
yeah,
I was finishing cleaning lots of racks and heavy cleaning floors and just doing all that stuff. I like to do that in between batches.
After the power came back on.
After the power came back on, I was going to do some of it if it didn't come on with a camp light, but I can't see the floors that well.
Yeah.
I can do the dishes, which are basically sanitizing stuff. But instead I did a whole lot of painting.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to get up early and make a ton of pasta tomorrow.
So we will throw this question out every week. If you guys have any specific cooking questions, you can throw them out into the chat. Mike gives a check. I'll try it. Well, if you are starting a startup business, you end up doing everything yourself, basically.
Yep.
So
trying to do as much as we can. That way, don't have labor, and I don't want to pay employment insurance and such. So the best way to make a margin is to do it myself as much as I have time and able to do it.
Yeah, until we grow big enough that, of course, I help on the side a little bit, but mainly just with the markets and the webpage.
She's never been my plungere.
No. Except for upstairs kitchen sometimes.
Sometimes. Partial.
Hey. It's a little hard on Sunday nights as I prep for this. But anyway, yeah, so we have the startup company, which is a pasta company. So obviously if you have questions about pastas and sauces and ideas and all that, we do have West Michigan Pasta and Provisions as a webpage, and we are putting recipes up there. In fact, one of the videos that we'll be releasing in the next couple days.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Is a ramen video that you guys, yeah, so not ramen in the American sense of ramen in the Japanese sense. More the soup.
Yes, well, ramen is noodles and broth or in a soup base, so it's a pretty wide open. Well, no, the commercial ones from the early 60s or 70s that come in little packages.
Yeah,
those are commercialized by frying. The most traditional is along the lines of a Chinese lo mein and is not fried, and all the good ramen stuff that's coming out through the U.S. and through a lot of the world is generally not fried.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're getting your questions now.
Eggs. Yeah, you can hard boil or soft boil eggs right away, fresh. The only problem is you may have a hard time peeling them because you have that inner membrane which sticks. And that's because you don't have a good air pocket developing and letting it pull away.
So the longer they sit out, the more the air gets into the egg and get bigger.
The older
the egg is, the bigger the air pocket.
So you have a couple ways to get around that or to help it. You can you can boil them. See, I like to start them from cool water and bring them up on a timer, but you can also, like soft-boiled eggs, you typically start with simmering water. I think when you put it in the simmering water, it may pull away a little faster. Some people take a pin and they tap the fat end, which is where the air pocket is. Mm-hmm. They do a little prick, and that causes some water to enter, some air to shoot out and collapse, and that can sometimes help prevent the
Sticking.
shell from sticking, the membrane from sticking. Other things you can do is, I think I've always felt like when we kind of put them in cool water, like I'm doing 100 eggs or something, and we put them in not a lot of cold water, they stick more. Say you need to do deviled eggs for a banquet, and they're all come out pocked and torn, and then you're like, oh, what do we do? I think heavily iced water and going right from the boiling water into the heavily iced water also helps it to
Shrinks it.
collapse and makes it a lot easier to peel it. Once it gets too sticky and you've cooked it, you're just stuck. It may look terrible unless you want to scoop it out with a spoon like a hard boiled or soft boiled. The other thing you can do is when you peel it, or as you're starting to cool them, start crack them a little bit and let some of that water soak in there and give them a little bit of time to soak. Or you can peel them underwater, gently running faucet. That'll clear some of the shells, but you may get some water in the membrane. So lots of ways of cracking them. Of course, if you do more than a pinprick, they're going to leak out into the air pocket. So that's the best thing. But older eggs do boil and peel easier. But aside from that, you can always peel them. Steam the eggs. Yeah, steaming and shocking may help. Again, the more severe.
Yeah, a lot of people do steam the eggs to help.
Yeah, it's fun. We do freeze most of our tomatoes. I'm pretty busy in the fall.
Yeah.
I have a lot of markets going on and other things. So we only have so much freezer space, but I do find as much as
we have 3 freezers.
We do?
We do.
Oh, we do. Yeah, we're not using. We got that other one.
We have the one up here we can use, which is only.
We have a side by side, which in the world of freezers is just the worst because they never hold anything. But that's our secondary. That's sort of our produce and overflow fridge freezer in the garage. We have our main one. I have a chest freezer downstairs.
That's the big one.
I tend to use that for our preserved stuff, and if I'm doing a larger cuts of meat. But I do. So until we run out of space, putting them in Ziploc bags or even the cheap tear-off bags is a really good way to hold them, and they will also peel. Kind of does a blanch and peel, so the skins will come off of tomatoes, and then you can go back and make sauce whenever you want. And we've had previous discussions. Most of our sauce I put in quart containers, the restaurant style, Chinese style, round quarts, and freeze it. Again, I think it's limiting time and effort of going through canning. Hot water canning. If I'm running out of room or power issues, then I want a hot water can. But most of the time, I'm happy just freezing it. It's a little less hard on it. And so, yeah, we'll make tomato sauce or other things. I'll make chili in a big batch. And I'll try and do it in one shot. I have some big pots. I have some 5 and 6 gallon pots, although our burners will not handle more than about 4 or 5 gallons.
We need a better kitchen setup.
Yeah, so there is. So we do tend to bag and rinse, bag, and freeze. But there's lots of ways to do it. If you have time to go right at it and make sauce,
great, yeah,
that's probably just as good because you save room whether you're freezing or canning. Once you get in its final form and pureed, you save room.
Yep. What was your favorite food growing up?
I don't have a lot of favorites.
He likes a lot of food.
I'm not too picky. There's some things I'm not a huge fan of, but in general, most of it I like.
That you might have to think about.
Yeah, and I guess I've done a lot more international food now, so I've had some things that are, things that I guess I like a lot of the braised items, so slow cooked, because you develop the richer flavors. So, like my mother would do a Swiss steak and a tomato base. I like that.
Hi, getting started on homesteading. Oh,
of course, now I like the lamb shanks and some of those slow braising because you really get the art of bringing out flavor. That's fun. I like a lot of fish and seafood. One, it's fun to cook and it's more delicate, so it takes more care and thought about how you're going to do it and then execute it. But I do like eating it. There's a lot of chefs that love cooking fish, even if they don't like eating fish, just because of the delicacy and finesse aspect.
Yeah. So I think those hit on all the. We don't have an Instapot. We don't. We have a. Do we have a pressure cook? We have a pressure canner.
No, we don't have a pressure canner. We have a pressure cooker.
We have a pressure
which
cooker.
I don't use a lot. I don't have an Instapot. I'm happy with just a crock pot. I do have a sous vide
Low
slow cook,
temperature.
or basically it's a thermal circulator, so a water bath, controlled water bath,
Yeah.
that I use some, not a lot. I use it more professionally, but that's really good for low
I
temperature.
think we did a video using the sous vide.
We
I
did.
think it was the ossobuco,
Yeah, we did a
the
pork
sous vide.
ossobuco.
Yeah, so about a year ago,
There's a lot
actually.
of things you can do with that. So I
Yeah,
like that, and the prices really came down from being super expensive to affordable. So basically, I don't need an Instapot because I pretty much do
everything.
between the crock pot and the um, pressure cooker, which I really don't use much of. We have a traditional boiling uh, pot for
Canning.
canning.
Yeah,
Do that a couple times a year. I
yeah,
actually bought a whole bunch of 20 pounds of tart cherries to make cherry jam earlier in the summer. Thought I had a week open, and all of a sudden it filled up with some stuff, and
yeah.
so I threw them in the big bag
And in
in
the
the
freezer.
freezer. So they need to come out and turn into jam
That's
still.
probably turning into a winter project. So,
Well, I got to get through September and probably a good ways into October
yeah,
before I'll have a moment where I can do that, I think.
yeah, yeah. And even October's booking up fast.
And actually, one of the best things that we've had, I have a candy stove, a propane candy stove, or
Hmm.
one of the big burners that you have to use outside, obviously. That is super useful. So a lot of people, turkey fryer base.
Hmm.
It's not. I have a heavier duty one, but we blanch our chickens in it. You can, boil stuff for large amounts of soup. You can do, you could do beer or other things, boil it up, but you got to watch the bottoms because it's a ton of heat, and with the thinner aluminum pans, unless you have a super thick, like $800 steel pan, you can easily burn like tomato sauce. There's no way I can make tomato sauce with a candy stove,
Yeah,
but you can do, crab boils or lobsters or that type of stuff. What else? I've used it for.
your candy stove.
Yeah, I mean, you could can with it, although you're not
We
getting
use
it
it to
fresh.
harvest chickens.
Yeah, where I do our chicken
Yeah.
plucking. So that, um, there are so many use. Well, we made brisket and pasta for Hootenanny.
All right, all right.
I think I did polenta the year before
Yeah,
because it's a grab. A tank of propane runs forever
yeah.
on that, and in a big pot, and you can.
Make
That's
lots of things.
Yeah. Other than a Swiss brazier, which you don't have at home, which is like a big griddle with sides on it. That's people say, what's the one thing you?
You'd want.
Yeah, the one thing you do without. I said, well, if I have a Swiss brazier, I can do anything I need to. That's the one piece of equipment I can cook in high volume. Um,
How expensive is that?
oh, they're $5,000. I mean, but it
Yeah.
also you're cooking 25 or 200 portions. It's not a home
It's not
use
a home
item.
use. No,
But
that's for your
but that is my go. For banquet cooking or just
yeah,
general cooking. If I need to cook for more than 20 people, I
that would
can
be
deal
nice.
with just that, and an oven would be helpful too. But you can't put. So yeah, an oven and a Swiss brazier are the two things I can do without. Or can't do without in a commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
And then a kettle after that. But Swiss braziers can be used as kettles, small kettles too.
Hmm. Okay, well, I also wanted to change the subject here real quick. For those of you guys who don't know, I've posted on our Facebook page a couple times, and I think we talked about it briefly last week, but we are selling t-shirts, part-time Permies t-shirts, so I did want to mention those. Um, that sale is going through the end of the 18th, so that would be Tuesday night by midnight. So it is on, oh, I think I linked the webpage below in the description, so you could take a look at that, but I'll pull up the page here. Um, and you can see it's, oops, I zoomed in apparently. There we go. That's the front of the t-shirt, and I'm gonna make this a
You've
little
got a
bit
few
bigger.
colors, I guess.
Yeah, we do have a few color options. So there's blue, gray, red, black, gray. We also have women's fitted, we have long sleeve, we have pullover, we have uh, regular crew neck sweatshirt, and on the backs of these is a bigger picture with um, our logo on the back as well. So if you guys are interested, you can find those on, I'll link it in the description here too. It's on bonfire.com/part-time permies with all the hyphens in it. So let me pull up our chat. which I probably just showed you the chat. Okay. Um, there you go. So if you guys are interested in t-shirts, but we will be doing a giveaway today for those t-shirts as well. So we will give away one t-shirt tonight with for anyone who's interested. And let me pull up the chat because we're going to ask a question on that. Okay, so for those of you guys who are interested, our rules for our monthly giveaways. We do a random monthly giveaway. It's sometime in the month. We did one in August. This will be our September giveaway. So one of our live shows every month we will do a giveaway. And this t-shirt is this week's giveaway. We do one t-shirt, either the fitted t-shirt or the unisex t-shirt is going to be the giveaway shirt, and you can pick the color and the size if you win. And of course, you can always go to the web page, which is listed in the chat now as well, if you're interested in ordering t-shirts as well. But the question is, what two types of apples did we think we tasted on from our apple trees? So and Noah's Ark can't win.
They have to list both of them.
They have to list both of them. Noah's Ark is out because you won last month. You can't win for 4 months.
Is Noah's Ark here today?
Yeah, I just noticed.
Oh,
I didn't see.
Yeah, right there.
I didn't see Noah's Ark before. She wasn't in there before. So sorry, Noah's Ark, but you have to wait for the next couple months for yours. But what two types of apples did we think we have for our trees? We're questioning one of them. We're pretty darn sure about the others. Granny Smith and Red Delicious. Mandy Sims won the t-shirt.
There you go. That was quick.
That was, yep. And now it's rolling in. I know there's a delay on things. Noah's Ark gives a big grin. So it's the first person who shows up on our screen, and I know that other people's screens will show up sometimes different orders, but Mandy Sims is the winner for this one. So congratulations. So what you need to do is email me, and you have to email me by Tuesday. I would say Tuesday at 5 so I could get the order in Tuesday evening.
Or just do it tonight after the show.
You could do that too.
Do you want to put out your email?
My email is parttimepermies, all one word, @gmail.com. So if you email me there, parttimepermies@gmail.com, Mandy Sims, let me know which color, whether you want the unisex or the women's, and the size. But congratulations, and if anyone else would like t-shirts, the store is open until Tuesday night.
Noah's Ark got the mushroom book.
Yeah, awesome, cool. Yeah, I forgot that was the one we gave away last month.
With all the rain we had this month, mushrooms went crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if we're going to get a second fall mushroom or if we just got an early mushroom peak.
I think we're going to get more.
I think we may get our late one too, because this was really early for all that sustained rain. I think we'll get our late fall or October.
I definitely think we're going to get another one, because even next week we're supposed to get rain again next weekend. I don't know if it's part of the hurricane blowing inland or if it's something else, but we might get some rain next weekend. So yeah, Mandy definitely has to check out the webpage to pick her shirt. Just the t-shirt. I'm not giving away the sweatshirts on this one, but you can always purchase a sweatshirt if you want one. But the t-shirt, either women's or unisex, pick the color, pick the size, and email me. One
t-shirt. Question: has Tina made any roux this week?
Has Tina made any roux? Yeah.
Or did we overload her with roux knowledge?
Yeah, that's a good question. Tina, did you make roux this week?
Or did anybody go back and look at the Thanksgiving videos?
Yeah.
So we did actually, they were set up for Christmas, but taken over Thanksgiving last year. So they came out in, I'd say, early December, probably?
Yeah, it did come out early December.
So as we're not there yet, but as we're heading into holiday,
we have a holiday series.
We have 5 or 6 videos on cooking a full Thanksgiving dinner that's not intimidating, but it's the Mid-American Thanksgiving traditional dinner as I know it,
Yeah.
and I know they're different throughout the country.
But we did a goose and a turkey.
And a whole bunch of sides and pan gravy with roux and a bunch of other things. So,
yeah. And Tina now has a question. She wants to grow garlic. What type do you suggest? Ooh. No, I kind of. Where are you located? Is I guess the first question. Are you in northern U.S. or southern U.S.?
Yeah, because
that is a big difference.
The heat versus the winter totally changes which garlics are best for you.
She hasn't made the roux yet.
No, that's right.
So yeah, I guess that's the big question. If you're close to us, I think it's hardnecks.
Yeah, flavor wise, I believe, and I think most hardneck garlic, so your German and Italian garlic, I believe taste the best, and they over winter. So you're going to plant them, not now, but in
like November.
Yeah, in the late fall, as you're starting to get frosty nights, because it's a bulb like all your irises and tulips and all that. If you are in California or predominantly warm areas, you're doing the soft neck, which have the multi-clove items.
Yeah.
The best way to do that, I think the cheapest way is go to the grocery store, find some really nice garlic if you want to get some organic garlic and pay the extra money, and plant an abundance of the nicer sized cloves from the store garlic that looks fairly fresh and not beat up.
Or go to your farmer's market.
We go to the farmer's market. Yeah, North Carolina. I think you could try some hard and some soft neck and see which does better. But go to your farmer's market, see what they're growing. Because I can tell you when you buy garlic from, like, we love Johnny's and a variety of other, but garlic and potato starts and onion starts, they send them out in season. They never have them when you think about it. They're super expensive, and then shipping. I can't justify buying potatoes or, for the most part, garlic or any of that. It just doesn't make sense. So I go to the farmer's market and I rip apart cloves off of whatever. We have somebody who grows like 20 types of garlic and specializes in it, and they're pretty expensive too, but we use some of those. I have used traditional potato, like the multicolor small potato packages that you get from the grocery store. I've used garlic from the grocery store. Again, sometimes garlic, sometimes specialty. And I just plant those items back, whether potatoes, you could do fall or spring. Garlic is best. If you're in the Carolinas and you don't get a good hard winter, sometimes you want to chill it in the refrigerator for a period of time.
Yeah.
Before you plant it, it really helps it. And see what happens. But I tend to like the German hardneck. Is really tasty. There's tons of websites on varieties, and there are lots of different flavors from really spicy and earthy and just different styles. So I would do your own research on that. And
Green Gables,
yeah, they plant great.
Yeah, because you said you're having problems with it rotting. My thought is
raised beds. That's interesting.
are you in a warm,
sometimes it's that's.
Are
weird.
you in a warm climate? Because if you're in a warm climate and you're planting it and it's not had that cold,
I would think about refrigerating it and then planting it in like January or as soon as the ground, if the ground is
ground's workable,
yeah, and plant it early because you're gonna get an early start. Or check with your local garden. Because
in the north,
master gardeners and stuff.
The other thing is, if you plant it too early in the fall, it might start rotting before you get your
if
hard
it's waterlogged, but a raised bed shouldn't be waterlogged.
No. Mine does great in the hugel bed. Oh my gosh, it did so much better than in the regular ground. Although we have sand, so everything goes. We don't get a lot of sand
Garlic's
water.
Pretty robust if you don't drown it.
So. Northern Alabama, that's right.
What's cold?
You probably
cold is December, January, and February being near or below freezing. I would say 6 to 8 weeks where you
refrigerate it.
Yeah, I would say 6 to 8 weeks where you're below 40 degrees during the day, and you may be around freezing. I would call that kind of cold. If you don't have a nice bulk of weeks, maybe at least a month or two.
Yeah, you need to be cold like that during the day straight.
And I would say hardneck. I'm not sure. I'm thinking you probably refrigerate it nice and cold because that's 40 degrees. The refrigerator is 40 degrees. I don't think you could freeze certain ones, but I think the California stuff.
Here's the thing. I think if you have to refrigerate your tulip bulbs.
Yeah, exactly. You treat it like your tulips.
Yeah, treat it just like tulip bulbs.
So if you replant those every year or you have to pull and refrigerate them if you're keeping them, do the same for garlic. if your tulips do great year to year by just splitting them or leaving them alone, then your garlic should do fine.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is you can always try the elephant garlic, which is not garlic. It's a what garlic is in
It's
the
an allium.
yeah
Garlic's an
yeah
allium.
it's in the is it daffodil? It's a what is it? Whatever it is. The elephant garlic, which gets really large, is totally different.
Uh, that one's
Tastes
a
the same.
daffodil? Oh,
No,
okay.
or no, it's not a daffodil. It's one of them.
Okay. A different bulb plant.
But you can, yeah, you can, but it tastes like garlic, and you get those super huge cloves, which are great for
Okay.
roasting and slow roasting, and they're sweeter. So I think they're a little more warm, hearty.
Okay.
So if you're having problems with some of your other ones, but try changing your variety. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Or see what.
there are some diseases now. People there are so like California, much of the area where we get California garlic, you cannot grow garlic because there's disease has infiltrated huge amounts. That's why so much Chinese garlic. At one point, all the restaurants were just getting Chinese garlic, and they ship it here and peel it, put it peeled in these containers. They say it's good for like 2 months. It comes in smelling half fermented and stinky. Yes, it's in the lily family. Thank you.
Yeah.
They're all in the lily family, but it's a form of an edible lily bulb that tastes like garlic.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, the Chinese garlic was so terrible, but then they treat it, and then they're looking at the conditions. It got to a point about 3 or 4 years ago where most of the finer quality chefs, we would call in our order and say we want U.S. garlic, or we want Christopher Ranch, which is the biggest known California grower. We want no Chinese garlic, because it was just so mistreated in the growing conditions. It's such a disgusting product. A
Yeah.
lot of we couldn't trust it, and
Yeah.
so it went from so cheap, but we really saw a shift of commercial garlic coming back,
Yeah.
and the flavor is better too. So
Yeah. So yeah, I know not many tulips around there. Daffodils, yes. Yeah. So I know. I
I
know
would say if you're not doing really good natural tulips,
it'd be hard to do.
use the direct, and all the garlic has zones, and it all has directions
Yeah.
for cold or hot or warmer area planting.
Yeah. The other thing you could do is check out Rose over at Wholesome Roots because
Yeah,
she's in
Georgia,
Alabama.
Georgia,
Sorry, Georgia. South of
mid.
Atlanta is
She's
what
in
I was
mid
thinking.
Georgia. Yep.
She's a little south of Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. So she's probably more similar. So you can always ask her, and she has a Facebook group as well, called Wholesome Roots. So she'd probably be very similar. And
Yeah.
I know she grows garlic.
I
So
guess you could check your planting depths and if you're putting them going the right direction, but I assume you are.
yeah,
So they don't need to go very deep, an inch or two.
yeah, not very far
Um,
at all. And you do want
right.
to make sure they're pointing the right
Yeah,
way.
food from China, just because of the track record of how many so
So many problems.
there's poor soil or contaminated soil. There is mishandled, there is mistreated and scanned and regulated, or things that can be put on it, or ways of
Yeah.
handling it that we don't allow. And then there's flat out people saying, oh, they're a bunch of, American suckers will pay high dollar for this stuff, and we can just do nasty things like put ground up plastic or melamine in the flour because it makes the protein content look higher. Or we can raw sewage runoff into the fish ponds, things like that. It's just an overpopulated area, and so I think we are stupid to. I think we should be buying the vast majority of our daily food from within our own country. It makes sense on a lot of levels. There are specialty items that we don't grow,
And a lot of it from our own region.
and out of things out of season. Yeah, we can go Latin America and Central America and Canada, but golly, I think it makes all that trucking, and it makes a lot more sense if we keep it on the continent, and hopefully a lot closer than that.
Yeah.
And whenever you have a handshake, farmers market style, then people, um, yeah, when you do, when you have a handshake, people trust each other, and they're less likely to do something, not accidentally, but something really nasty to somebody if they know them and they sell to them personally. So I think that protects your food supply. If you don't have to grow it, but if you're getting a handshake, or the closer you are to the grower and the maker, the better quality hopefully you're going to get, or safer
Yeah,
at least.
knowing your grower is
Yeah.
huge. I mean, if you don't grow it yourself and you know your grower, that's awesome. Now, you can't get everything in every section of the U.S. I mean, you can't get wheat grown in Michigan because it doesn't.
Well, we grow a ton of wheat. We just grow the wrong wheat for my pasta.
Yeah, you can't grow it. You can't
So.
get yeah, your durum wheat here. So yeah, I mean,
Well,
it's
actually,
just
so Fukushima, yeah, they're having some fallout from, and ground contamination or different things from Fukushima. Of course, that's in Japan. Japan has very rigorous food standards. So you can also go country by country
yeah,
by the culture and the regulations of how they look at food. So
but
Europe has stronger regulations than we do. We're moderate. We have really good oversight and like management after we have a problem, but we actually don't have great
prevention.
prevention and growing standards. Europe's pretty good. Japan has a hard time growing a lot because it's so small. But man, their standards of what the public demands, like they won't buy U.S. beef for a long time.
Hmm.
It's gone back and forth because they didn't think our beef was as secured as it should be. So you have to look country by country, and that becomes a professional activity.
Yeah.
Not even restaurant chefs. I know some about it because we deal with it and we read a lot of articles. But that's where your buyers, and you need to trust your food sources, your grocery stores, or your commercial sellers, that their buyers are not just looking for the cheapest, which I guarantee you most of them are.
Are.
You need great quality, you need good value, but you need them to start looking at the what we talk about sometimes in classes is value chain. It's not just that things move as a commodity and change prices every time you handle it, but that you have values associated with it and that they're meeting your value for safety and quality, not just lowest price. And so there's a lot of good imported stuff, but there's some other stuff that's, I mean, fish and seafood is just scary
Yeah.
out of a lot of the world. So your farm raised, tilapia, salmon, all your shellfish, the crab and shrimp, and it's really scary where a lot of it's coming from when you start breaking it down. One, either the possible disease or the contamination. So be a little leery of it.
Gotta, I go to a fruit market called the Blocks. Most of the veggies are shipped in. Oh, no.
Yeah, most of the veggies around the world come in commodity wise or shipped in
Well, it's
from
so
around or out of
seasonal.
the or and you
Yeah,
if you're not going to eat stuff year round, strawberries, we get 6 9 months. Tomatoes we get,
in the
but you got to
country.
move it around the country, and then
Yeah.
you start looking to Canada, hoop houses, Latin America, and there are things. So there is meat that comes in from out of country has to be USDA they need to process it with USDA representation out of country.
Mm.
And a lot of other larger groups or larger buyers require a USDA plant. So they're supposed to build them to the standards of the USDA. And then they put in people that are agents of the USDA in the country of origin or agents that work for the USDA that are supposed to oversee it and evaluate on the same standards. So when it moves from their processing to us, it meets our standards. The only problem I have with that is when you're the one agent or the one
Right.
subsidiary consulting company
For the whole
for the
country.
yeah, well, no, it's going to be for the plant, but
Right.
you're only there and can only see what you can see. But you're living overseas. Your base those shipments don't move out unless you okay them. The opportunity for people being lax and payoffs or the
Yeah.
pressure to let things go that wouldn't go, I don't know if you're really always getting that level of oversight um,
Yeah, I can
and
see
when
that.
you're in another country, even though that's why those standards are set up. So it's a really difficult
Mandy
piece
doesn't
by
do sea
piece item.
bugs.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind sea bugs, but and again, we don't have a lot of control over where stuff comes. So the best thing is if you're eating seasonally, you're eating locally. That is your best control. Well, if you're growing it, and then as you branch out, you lose control, and a lot of it's fine. I eat stuff. I got a strong stomach. I eat so many things. Restaurants coming in from all over the world, but you really don't know how fresh, good, or healthy they
Yeah,
are. So if you
you gotta
want to
watch
have
it.
control, you gotta simplify your diet and work with what you know is
Local.
going to be the best. Yep.
Yeah. Local's probably number one, and if you know the farmer, that's probably ideal. But in
Having
Michigan, we only have a certain period of time of growing season,
Having
so
said that, I have a French cheese and an Italian cheese sitting in the fridge, but cheese is fermented. I trust those sources
yeah,
pretty highly, so
yeah.
they make those
Well, yeah,
cheeses
no,
better than we do. So
yeah.
some of them.
So yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have Lebanese olive oil
Well,
too.
I get asked a lot, like, why don't you use Italian flour, Italian semolina for my pasta? I said, well, one, it's really expensive, Two, it's and some people say it's treated differently, or it comes closer to organic even when it's not because of some of the European spray standards. But um, I'm like, why? We grow some of the best wheat in the world in the U.S. Now, not all of it's grown to great standards, but semolina is a more difficult, higher quality item. So I'm like, why would I reach out around the world unless I have a special project when I can use stuff that's grown from the plain in the plain states and is recognized as some of the highest quality wheat in the world? It has a slight taste difference, terroir, and flavor difference always changes as you move around the world, but it's very minimal. So I
Yeah.
use U.S. product because it makes the most sense.
Yep.
And then I source organic for most of it because that's an added sell that a lot of people want. So that gives a little better quality and protection on how it's being handled.
Yep. Take your kombucha. Um,
I'm not a huge. I'll drink some kombucha. I am not a huge fan of kombucha,
Neither am I. So we
just
don't really.
personally.
Yeah, I just don't
I've
like the
had
taste
we
so much.
have some friends that make a kombucha, which they
It's
cut
all right.
and
Yeah.
they cut it with fruit juice, which a
Yeah.
lot of people do. So they take down the acidity and they blend it. They're just decent. It's pretty good actually. I've had some. I just can't. It's not my go-to beverage.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No. Um, but yogurts and other things too
yeah,
for your live cultures and yeah. Uh, so another fermented food. We have a lot of kimchi. We eat a lot of
we have,
kimchi. A
and
decent
yeah, because we've
amount.
got some good links to kimchi and other things.
Yeah. Pasta making top secret. Don't think you have need
I don't
pasta
have
video.
a no. I don't have a pasta video because I don't do a hand stirred. I could do
It's an
a hand
extruded.
making. Yeah, so the extrusion just looks like basically it looks like a meat grinder if you have a little meat grinder for and then it presses it through a die which looks like if you ever did the old style pressed cookies, the Christmas cookies where you have the little plunger and you press them through. That's the technology. It's pressure so it looks like a play-doh and it goes against the mold and it comes out the other side and then I have to cut it and then I go through the drying process and all of that. So we could talk about making rolled and cut. Um, there aren't any secrets. My secrets are I don't cut any corners. I use really good product. We pay attention to the process as it's mixing, as it's extruding, and as it's drying,
Yeah.
and the quality of the flour gives us, uh,
Better
and
flavor.
yeah, gives us the flavor, and the quality of the process gives us the texture,
Yeah.
the chew, and the rough edges. But honestly, there isn't a secret in what I do other than knowing how to step through all the processes, access the right ingredients, purchase the right equipment, which is pricey,
Yeah.
and do a lot of cleaning, keep a good clean
Bree,
environment.
if you're on a computer, you could go and you just want, I mean, it's not the whole process, but if you want to see how it's extruded on the website, westmichiganpastaandprovisions.com, it's all one word. There is a video as you scroll down of the pasta coming off
Coming
the
out of the machine,
extruder.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say as far I could do a roll and cut video. I have to do a roll and cut class, a hands-on class at the local community
Yeah,
college.
that's true.
I won't be able to video that because that's a contract class. But
you could repeat some of that.
oh
here.
yeah, but as far as I can tell you, the simplest thing you can use AP or all-purpose flour, preferably bread flour to that, and even better if you can get what's called 00 Durham and Durham semolina and blend them half and half, or a pizza dough, not with anything added to it or to make it rise, not that little stuff that has the baking soda in it or yeast. Um, but if you do 50-50 Durham semolina or whatever high quality, high protein flour and 5 whole eggs, you can watch videos all over YouTube. Stir it together till it's and knead it till it's really, really hard and yellow. Not really hard, but it's gonna be firmer than a bread dough. And at that point, you either roll it by hand, which is hard, or ideally you get a pasta bike, one of those little metal contraptions. They're about $45. And that'll allow you to cut your noodles up through like a fettuccine or roll out a wide sheet, which could be used for a lasagna or a pappardelle.
What's the company that makes all the mixers and stuff? Don't they have an attachment?
They do. KitchenAid has two attachments. They have a rolling attachment. I haven't used either. They have an extrusion attachment, but they're all plastic, and the plastic, I'm afraid, they don't get the pressure, and they're going to split open.
Yeah.
I think they're going to break quickly, at least the extrusion. and the
Or it's not
Teflon
enough
dies are
pressure.
very soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't work as wet. The Teflon dies give a very smooth external texture, which I don't like. There is a machine for I think under $200. It does extrusion pasta. It's a little home deal. It's got little number of dies, just a few, and they are also Teflon plastic.
Mm.
That you can do it. It mixes it and then it extrudes it. That's as close as you can get, but you're still $200. I think you're better making uh,
Rolled.
making a rolled and cut. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
we could talk about qualities of pasta or different types of pasta
But
or flours at some point.
yeah.
Or do a video on that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, there's no real secret. Actually, here, this is the secret. If you want to see the best pastas in the world, go see Pasta Grannies. There's about 6 videos.
That's awesome.
Though they are doing a lot of handwork items, which are so laborsome, nobody does them but little old Italian grannies. And their hands are so nimble, and they've been doing it, many of them, for so many years that those are awesome items that are just almost lost and they're being revived. They have so.
They have 320,000
I was
subscribers.
yeah, they probably have a million hits. It's but they're doing the handwork stuff. That is, we're not Italian. That I lived in Italy for a while. That is the old style, real.
Yeah.
Thing. Same with pierogies, Polish. Making pierogies. I have a good sour cream pierogi dough recipe if I could dig it up somewhere. That's those type of things. It's people that have done it their whole life, have the time to do it, and the tradition is passed down through the family, or they do it as a family at certain times of the year. Same with making hand tortillas, things like that. It's just a lot of practice and tradition.
Yeah, so they do have some.
So that's where like
fun.
we like following slow food, and that's what they embrace is heirloom agriculture techniques and processes, foods that are slow, that have been preserved through time and through regions because they're unique. So I like a lot of what slow food does.
I just linked that link in the chat is the link for the Pasta Grannies. If you're interested in checking them out, that's fun.
Yeah, the Pasta Grannies are really good. They do stuff I can't do. I have not practiced or have time. So if you want to do something really fun,
you want the old world Italian style.
And there are crazy stuff. I mean, they put buckwheat in pastas in certain areas of Italy, whole wheat. There's one that I want to try. It's actually, I think it's burned wheat or burned rye. It's nutty and smoky naturally. I haven't got my hands on any yet. So one way of cleaning the field is that you burn out the field. And because that burns down the chaff or sometimes runs out the bugs, or like sugarcane is sometimes burned. And so when they do this, when they burn it out and then they collect the grain, you end up with this smoky or half burnt, and you shell it, and it gives a unique flavor. And there's some regional specialty pastas that use that. So you can dig into. So we're starting to do a few limited specialty things, but there's some crazy stuff. And then there's modern, like using modern techniques. You can do some really crazy stuff. We don't really have a market for most of that. We don't have anybody who wants to buy it. So I do a little this and that just to keep interesting and put it out there, but I don't really have a market like a big city might. So.
Yeah. But we do have a lot of videos on not how to make the pasta itself, but what to put with your pasta and different sauces and dishes and such.
How to finish your sauce and your garnishes.
Yeah.
And you can put almost anything in there.
So the one that'll release probably on Tuesday, because I just got to wrap it up. It's almost done. Is on ramen. So we're gonna have that release. I
won't give you my ramen recipe.
That one is
that is not so secretive. It's out there, but my combinations and the difficulty in getting it the way I like it, that is a little more proprietary than my semolina pasta, which is semolina and water. So.
You have to have the right combination of semolina and water
to
be able to extrude it.
Just have to bring your water up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah, which you have to do with your regular rolled pasta too, so it's not too sticky.
By the way, Bree, the webpage will work on a cell phone. It's just the video part of that is stationary, so it looks like a picture. So
yeah, but she's
yeah,
watching this, so she
yeah,
can't
you know,
watch.
but at a different time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it is 10:15.
it
So.
is. So we do need to wrap up because I have to work tomorrow. Darn. But so we do need to wrap up, but you guys will definitely be here next week. Think of your cooking questions. We can do it on the fly. He can do it on the fly for the
Most, not
most
everything.
part. For the most part. But if you watch our Facebook page, I will throw out that invitation for questions for Mike so that if there's anything he needs to double check on before the show, he can do that. I will send that out on earlier on Sunday. But I think that's about it for this week. We've covered everything I was going to talk about. So I think we'll have to say
Puppy is
goodnight.
totally snoring. She's out.
Puddin is on the couch with her nose like shoved into a stuffed bear
Yeah.
that's a Kong toy bear and is completely out. She is sound,
Yeah. She
asleep.
sat in the yard much today watching us work and a little
Yeah.
more active, so she's totally
Finite
tired.
World, we are going to stick with 9 o'clock at this point. So we were doing 8 o'clock in the past, but we're going to stick with 9 p.m. for a couple reasons. But one of them is for anyone who has a premium membership to Abundant Permaculture, Justin Rhodes stuff, that he does every other week a webinar at 8 o'clock. So I don't want to conflict with that. I like watching those. He was supposed to do it this week, but because of everything, they were having power issues today. So he canceled that this week. So we don't want to be at the same time as that. So we will be 9 o'clock every week. I think there are some other channels that do a live at the 8 o'clock hour as well. So that's the other reason why we bumped back. But we will be back next week at 9 o'clock, 9 to 10 usually, but tonight went late. So
It's
we
the other
will.
advantage of running from 9 to 10. There isn't much going on that we know of.
Yeah.
And,
The
after
Aldermans
10,
used to be on at
yeah.
this hour.
So
Yeah.
concern for friendly channels of
Yeah.
invading their time. If we run a couple minutes late, it's not as big of a deal. So
That's true too.
So it's kind of the wind down. I know some people go to bed earlier, but it is kind of the wind down for a lot of people where they're
Yeah.
more available. And if you're crashing through, finishing your Sunday and getting ready for the week, it gives you a little more time to get on. So
Thanks, Finite World. Yeah, if you guys can hit thumbs up on the way out, it'll help us out in getting our videos out there for the whole.
t-shirts if you're interested.
Check the link below.
Yep, and then
And
that's
then
about it.
yeah, so that closes on Tuesday at midnight. If you guys want any of those t-shirts. But otherwise, thank you guys for watching. We will definitely see you next week at 9 p.m. Take care.
Good night.